What's up, you giant-headed geeks? I mean, we're all giant-headed around here with all this information floating around in our brains. I mean, honestly, look at the size of this head. Well, to be fair, I actually wear a small, medium hat. So the head itself isn't that large, but like the jaw, look at it. I mean, like if I stay still long enough, the ambient dust in the air sometimes settles into orbit around my face. It's got its own gravity. Crazy. Anyway, joking aside, we're getting into some serious business. This episode is about the Hubbard contingency or the Hubbard sale. This is a paraphrase for a sale of your home that you are conducting that is contingent on the sale of your buyer's home. Follow me. So in the current environment, lots of offers. Very competitive for buyers. A lot of buyers out there want your house. You've got an outstanding offer. It is like 50 grand above asking price. The buyer's got like all this money to put down on their loan, so they're only borrowing like 30% or something like that. They're plunking down all this cash. Maybe they're older folks and their finances are really tight and they just look like an absolute slam dunk. The timing is all lining up. They want the house when you want to get rid of it, and all of the stars shining down upon you in unison, except for the fact that this buyer, to make good on all of those promises they made in their offer, has to sell the house that they live in today. And maybe that house isn't even on the market yet. Tough decision for you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. So understand that everything that you've learned in the past, 8 segments, you now have to repeat, not only for your own house, but for a house that you have completely no knowledge of. You've never been inside of it. You've never really even seen a photograph of it. You certainly have no information as to its upkeep, its location, its market, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe you get lucky and it's around the corner and you know everything about this house, but that's typically not the case. So you got to get intimately familiar with this asset, the people who own the asset, your potential buyers, the market that that asset is in, how quickly it might sell, and all of the different factors involved with selling your own home, you now have to become familiar with on this other sale. Tough to do, especially, remember, you don't got no stinking realtor, and you have to do all of these things in a very short window of time so that if you don't want to take this buyer, regardless of how incredible their offer is, because you don't like the house that they've got to sell, you have to come to that determination very fast because you have 10 other offers that you're going to be maybe throwing in the trash if you don't get your behind in gear and have a comprehensive understanding of this Hubbard buyer and their asset in time to potentially capitalize on the other offers if you don't like it. So, a lot of risk. Could be helpful to have a team of professionals that might be doing this stuff on sidelines while you are packing to move, other stressful things that might have to happen during this very momentous time in your life. Just think about that. Ruminate. Anyhow, assuming that you are a superhero and your notebook is fat and your head is gigantic with all this knowledge, you're going to pull this off. Let's go through all the things you need to think about. So, you've received this offer. Their house, the buyer's house, isn't even on the market yet. As we said, understand the market dynamic wherever they are. Is it a desirable place? Is their house desirable? Is it old? Is it fairly newer construction? Is it big? Is it small? Does it have any deficiencies for safety, for mechanicals, for structural, all those items that might come up in an inspection? Now you're starting to think about the contingencies that could sink the sale of your own home are the same in the sale of your now potential buyer's home. There's a lot of things that can go wrong between you accepting their Hubbard offer, them getting their house on the market, actually selling it at the same time, usually the same day as yours. There's a lot of pitfalls, guys, a lot. But it is very possible, and we professionals pull it off all the time. It is a very common circumstance that folks cannot buy a new home without the proceeds of their last. So these things do happen, and it's not impossible, just very difficult. So when you are considering a Hubbard offer, it would certainly be better if the house those buyers have to sell has already survived some of these contingency benchmarks, some of these thresholds beyond which their sale can progress. Let's say the house is on the market. It hasn't found a buyer yet, but it's on the market. That's a big step in the right direction. If their house hasn't even been looked at by a realtor yet, or if they are doing it themselves, they haven't even gone through the steps of putting this house on the market, there's lots of stuff you don't even know about it yet that would come up during the listing process. If it's on the market, you can look at it yourself. You can review those photographs. You can review property disclosures. You can make a determination about this house based at least on a complete real estate listing. Also, if they are going to hire a realtor, you can look at that realtor's history, their business acumen. Are they successful in their careers? Have they only sold one house in the last 10 years? All of these things will give you information that you can use. If the house isn't on the market at all, geez Louise, there's so much that you don't know. So let's say it's on the market and it's got a buyer. Man, now we got some higher levels of confidence here. Not only did it hit the market digested it, liked it, offers were made, the buyers, your buyers, but the sellers of that property accepted an offer that they liked. That's a huge threshold. It's a huge benchmark that you're crossing over. The sellers actually liked an offer that they got, and now they're coming to you saying that, yeah, I'm going to sell my home soon. I'm going to have all this cash. Let me plunk it down on yours. Cool. We're getting there. Still a lot of stumbling blocks, right? So now we got to get past the purchase and sales agreement. We have to get past the earnest money deposit. Just because you found a buyer doesn't mean that buyer's contractually obligated yet, right? We know that from previous episodes. So if they've accepted an offer, great. If they've then actually gotten into contract, hey, now there's maybe more than one real estate professional involved. Maybe there's even 2 attorneys involved at that point. Now we're really getting to a higher level of confidence. But we haven't even crossed any of the normal contingency boundaries, right? The inspection, the appraisal, the financing contingency, among others. Even better, they're beyond the inspections. Gigantic. This is a real winner here now. We can really consider if this place has already gotten past the inspections with the buyers. That means that any deficiencies that were found in the house, not only have they been discovered, they've been negotiated. Somebody is paying to rectify those, or one or the other party has capitulated and has moved past the probability of actually getting paid or getting some value for that particular deficiency. Gigantic. Still pitfalls. Still have the appraisal. Still have the financing contingency itself. Even after the bank has appraised the property and you've passed that contingency, even after there's been a mortgage commitment and the bank has agreed to finance this loan in paper, in writing. What if the buyer then goes and leases another car and ruins their debt to income ratio and the whole deal blows up? So you get the idea. Very risky, and so typically much higher reward, right? That's how life works. That's how markets work. The more risk you take, the higher your potential reward, and these Hubbards better come along with a really attractive set of terms, including price, to incentivize you as a seller to take that Hubbard and to roll the dice. So, head swollen, put all the hats on in the span of what? How long do we think we have? We get 10 offers, lots of them are bona fide, lots of them are attractive, but that Hubbard's really standing out because it's just so far above asking price and all these things. How long do we have to complete all of the review that we just discussed about this potential buyer's home? 48 hours, maybe? But you don't need no stinking realtor. Next episode, we're going to flip. We're going to look at this from the seller's perspective rather than the buyer's perspective in making an offer. You, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, have a house that you'd like to buy for your next place to live, and you're still selling your home. You're still sellers. You were looking at a seller's suitable housing contingency when you were working with buyers for your place. We'll go over that in the next episode. Deuces.